time, I'd like to call this meeting of the Middlesex County Board of Chosen Freeholders to order. Please rise for a moment of silence. Dennis, salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shannon?
Roll call.
No, you have to announce.
Oh.
Do a clerk's announcement.
The notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, has been complied with and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting.
Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett Belante.
Here.
Freeholder Delina. Freeholder Polos.
here.
Freeholder Rios.
Here.
Freeholder Tamaro.
Here.
Freeholder Valenti.
Here.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Here. At this point in time, we're going to deviate from the regular order of business to consider one resolution relative to the Sustainable Economic Growth Improvement Fund. At this point in time, I'd like to consider resolution number 11-1035, which is to authorize execution of a Middlesex County Sustainable Economic Growth Improvement Fund grant to the Borough of Helmetta. I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone from the public wish to comment on resolution 11-1035? Anyone?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. I need a motion to adopt Resolution 11-1035 only.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Freeholder Polo, seconded by Deputy Director Rios. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett Belante.
Yes.
Freeholder Delina. Sorry. Freeholder Polos.
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes. Freeholder, I believe you're going to make the presentation. I believe the mayor's here and some council people are here also.
Mayor, come on up. Members of the council. As you've heard, about 2 or 3 years ago, we modified our Downtown Business District Improvement Grant Fund to create a sustainable economic development initiative. The goal was to assist our communities in developing green initiatives, making their communities more green, more energy efficient, more sustainable. So we're really pleased with this grant because it's for a rather unique use in Helmetta, as they're creating a shelter, animal shelter, in the community that will service other communities. I'll let the mayor share more with you about that. The nice thing is that the grant that we're providing to them will make this shelter a much more green and sustainable feature within the community. So we're proud of the fact that we'll not only be saving animals and helping animals, and if you're an animal lover like I am, I'm sure you'll agree that that's a very important thing to do, and we're very pleased that Helmetta has taken the lead to be able to do this to help those communities that also need this type of service, and this grant will go a long way to help this become a reality. So Mayor, from Middlesex County Board of Freeholders to Helmetta and members of the council. Oh, wait, I guess we have to do that. Mayor?
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Director and the Board of Freeholders for this grant. We're building a 6,000 square foot municipal animal shelter. Currently we have 14 contracts and we anticipate more in the upcoming weeks. We will be using this $100,000 for solar panels on our building, and we really appreciate the cooperation of the board in assisting us being able to install those solar panels. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I need a motion to resume the regular order of business.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Commemorative resolutions.
Recognizing Rory Zach, Emergency Management Coordinator, on the occasion of his retirement. Recognizing Gary Schaefer, a community transit driver in the Department of Transportation, as he has placed third in the 2011 NJ Paratransit Rodeo. Recognizing Harriet Hershanov, as she is a 2011 recipient of Hometown Hero Award for her lifetime of volunteer service, as selected by the United Way of Central Jersey. Recognizing the Salvation Army Retired and Senior Volunteer Program of Middlesex County for their numerous contributions to the community.
Need a motion to adopt those resolutions?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett-Palante.
Yes.
Freeholder Polos.
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Valente.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Afano.
Yes. Now, Deputy Director Rios will make his presentation to Rory Zach.
Rory. I would like to take this time to extend to Rory Zach on behalf of the Board of Freeholders good luck on his retirement and good health. He's going to be leaving not only Middlesex County, but he's leaving New Jersey to be with his sons. So him and his wife are going to be moving to better places, maybe. Although Middlesex County is the greatest county in the land, but Rory has been our OEM coordinator for the county for a number of years now, and he's done a tremendous job. And just this past week, there was a regular municipal coordinators meeting, and it was Rory's last one, and we had various people coming there to recognize him for his dedicated service and his commitment to the safety and well-being of all our citizens in Middlesex County. He's been a true leader, an asset. He's been a volunteer firefighter in the borough of Sayreville for 36 years, and he has his heart certainly in the right place. And so on behalf of the Board of Freeholders, we wish you nothing but the best in your retirement.
Thank you.
Hey, Rory, have your wife come up for the picture, too.
Yeah, sure.
That's why you're my favorite freeholder. Always keeping me out of trouble.
That's right.
Sure. Thank you, Freeholder Rios, and thank you to the Freeholder Board. It's certainly been an honor and a privilege to serve Middlesex County and the residents of Middlesex County. If we were successful in emergency management during my time there, it was definitely a collaborative effort on the part of many people. I don't know if the residents of the county really truly appreciate how much effort and support that the Board of Freeholders gives to emergency preparedness. Both the former freeholders I had the pleasure of working with and the current Board of Freeholders, and certainly all the department heads and the county employees, everybody who took part in any of our emergency preparedness efforts. It's been a tremendous pleasure of mine to work with everybody here in the county, and I really want people to appreciate how much time and effort has been put in by all the staff of the county and the administrators and department heads of the county. They really need to appreciate that, and I greatly appreciate all the support that I've gotten over the years. So thank you very much, and Godspeed.
Let's hear it for Rory Zach. I do want to say that I had the privilege to work with Rory when I was chair of law and public safety for, I guess, 10 or 11 years. And when I first came on the board here, I think Rory was a fire instructor. And then we promoted him to OEM coordinator. And we've been through a lot through the years with the flood responses and the hurricanes and all the other problems we had, 9/11, and certainly you did an outstanding job as coordinator. It was my pleasure to work with you, and we had such a great level of cooperation across all the agencies, and it really is a benefit to Middlesex County, and it's because of you, Rory Zach. Anybody else want to comment?
Just good luck in your retirement. You're welcome.
Enjoy.
Okay, moving on to correspondence. Oh, I think there's one more. You're right.
Two more.
Two more. I'm sorry, Freeholder. Freeholder Paulos has another presentation.
Gary, could you come on up?
Sorry about that.
Come on up here. We've been here together how many times now in the last 5 or 6 years?
7.
Okay, 7 times.
But who's counting?
I lost count after 5 or 6. It is absolutely a unique situation to have an individual like Gary Schaefer, who has been a driver with our county for many, many years, and for the last 7 years, he has participated in something called a rodeo. Now, he doesn't sit on a horse and crack a bullwhip, but what he does do is he has to take an MCAT bus and drive it through an extremely difficult set of courses and obstacles as part of a program, a nationally recognized program, to determine his capabilities as a driver. It is an enormously difficult task. You're measured to within, fractions of inches as to how close you can get to the curb, how close you get to a vehicle, safety maneuvers, how to secure wheelchairs within the vehicles. There's a whole slew of things that you have to participate in. So I have to look to the resolution because I don't remember exactly which was which. I just know for 7 years you've placed either 3rd place, 4th place, or better since 2005, including 3 third-place finishes from 2009 to 2011. So for 7 years, I have to say it this way, he's come this close to going to the Nationals. So we're a little frustrated, and so is he. Where was it last year, in Vegas? Or
Somewhere out there.
Somewhere out there. Next year it's in...
Probably New Brunswick.
That's why you'll probably... Next year you'll probably win. So the county will foot the bill, no problem. We'll send you to New Brunswick. But it is a credit to him, to obviously the entire staff, and we've done a resolution, the board has, to recognize your achievement once again. In fact, I will tell you that there were 2 individuals who were supposed to be here tonight, but because of the weather and a conflict couldn't. And they were actually going to drive up from Cape May, one of whom came in 1st place, I believe, right? And he had contacted us, so you should know this, and had the interest of coming up tonight, and then last minute had an emergency, couldn't make it. But he actually wanted to drive up from Cape May to recognize your accomplishment, even though he was the victor, to tell you what a great job you've done. So that's quite a credit to you. Congratulations, and I think Steve, our Director of Transportation, has a few words to say as well. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Steve?
Okay.
Gary, it's been a long 7 years, and so the staff at MCAT wanted to present something to you, and I thought I would just read what we have here. New Jersey Cross Rodeo, 2005 to 2011 runner-up. Gary, you will always be first in our hearts, and there's always next year. The MCAT crew. And a little rodeo for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're on. You don't mind.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Freeholders, and hopefully next year, maybe a little bit better.
Freeholder Valente?
Congratulations. I can't let this lady get away without a comment. She's one of a kind. They don't make them like her anymore. I've been on the Board of Freeholders my 7th year, and Harriet has been doing all this volunteer work long before I even thought of becoming a freeholder. She has received the Hometown Hero Award for her lifetime of volunteer service, selected by the United Way of Central Jersey. And I don't know what we would do without people like Harriet. She's involved in everything, not just human services, but all kinds of other activities that some of us have lost track. So in recognition of your wonderful, wonderful volunteerism, we want to recognize you this evening, because you are indeed a hero, and you have spent your whole life helping other people, and we're very grateful for your work for the county and for those that need your help. Congratulations, Harriet, and we will wish you well, and stay around. We don't want you to leave us. Thank you very much. How about saying a few words?
Volunteering, and I didn't know I was supposed to talk.
That's okay.
Volunteering in a way that's supposed to help other people is the most fulfilling thing I think a person can do if you don't have to be out supporting your family. You meet the best kind of people because we're dealing with human services. I've been on the First Aid Squad, the Board of Education, other kinds of things like this. And it's been fulfilling and rewarding, and when I meet people like Freeholder Valenti, it's worth the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Correspondence.
Each freeholder has been provided with a list of correspondence received by the clerk's office since our last meeting. This correspondence will be kept on file in the office of the clerk of the board for reference.
I need a motion to accept the correspondence.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
A letter has been received from Carteret Mayor Daniel Ryman requesting open space funds in the amount of $600,000 for the purchase of the remaining Block 201, Lot 1 property.
Need a motion to refer this matter to the Open Space Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett Valente.
Yes.
Freeholder Polos.
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Valente.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Afano.
Yes. I need a motion to accept the minutes of the April 28th Freeholders meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Reports of freeholders. Freeholder Carroll, Barrett, Belante.
Thank you, Director. In the Public Health Department, skin cancer screenings are set for Saturday, June 25th. This Saturday, the County Public Health Department is offering skin cancer screenings at 2 county locations, the Crystal Springs Families Aquatic Center in East Brunswick and the Caledonia Park in Perth Amboy. The times are from 1 to 4 p.m., and for more information, you can contact the Middlesex County Health Department. On June 27th, the County Public Health Department will be offering the HIV quick test between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. at our public health clinic located at 596 Jersey Avenue, Suite B, New Brunswick. The test provides results
on the same day testing. For more information, you can call the Public Health Clinic 732-565-3788. As most of you know, our Director of the Health, David Pappy, is retiring on July 1st, and we send our very best wishes to Dave in his retirement. Middlesex County College, June 13th, Middlesex County College received notification from the New Jersey President's Council that they have approved 2 new degree programs for the college. An associate in science and allied health pre-professional and an associate in science in earth science. Also, the Academy for Science, Mathematics, and Engineering Technologies, for the 5th consecutive year, all 3 Academy for Science, Mathematics, and Engineering Technologies Science League teams finished in the top 10 of the schools statewide, and I want to congratulate all the students who participated in that. Out at the County Environmental Health Division, all members of the County Environmental Health Division Air Pollution Program have taken the Visible Emissions Recertification course given at Cook College. This course is taken twice a year as mandated by the New Jersey DEP. The inspectors are tested on the ability to read smoke by observing different types of white and black smoke. On June 22nd, members of the New Jersey DEP Central Region Office will be providing a sub-5 refresher course at the office. All of the air pollution staff will attend this training, which will provide instruction on how to respond to odor complaints. Next, on your list for resolutions tonight, I draw your attention to number 1123, and I would ask my colleagues to support this resolution. It would help us expand our health care offerings to our senior citizens, and I need the support of the board. The resolution would hire Nadosky Kopelson Architectural Services to convert a building on the campus of Roosevelt Care Center in Edison to accommodate a comprehensive program to help senior citizens live safely at home while being assisted by a team of health care experts 365 days a year. This would be the second program of its kind in the state of New Jersey, which means we will be at the cutting edge of a trend of offering senior residents community-based outpatient care instead of having them to rely solely on residential skilled nursing care. Medicare and Medicaid patients would be eligible for the program, and the federal government would subsidize the cost. In working with our partners at the Middlesex County Improvement Authority, which operates Roosevelt Care Center, we are developing a range of health care services for our seniors as a part of the continuation of care. This program would be a first step. We also are exploring ways to use the Roosevelt campus in Edison to house doctor offices, cancer and dialysis centers, a wellness center, and outpatient rehabilitation center, all with the goal of helping residents stay healthier, more active in their homes, and stay in their homes longer. As their medical needs progress, our residents can progress through our range of programs, combined with our outstanding Roosevelt Care Center facility in Edison and the new long care facility to open later this year in Old Bridge. These new programs will help us meet our residents' current and future medical needs. I take this time to thank Leonard Roseman, Chairman of the Middlesex County Improvement Authority, Richard Pucci, who is the Executive Director, and Dr. Frank Damiani, Administrator and Director of the Resident Care at Roosevelt Care Center, for their dedication to the health, well-being of our senior citizens. Thank you, Director. That's my report.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Paulos?
Thank you. A couple of items. A few days ago, we had a wonderful event in Metuchen celebrating a program that's been put together. I was put together several years ago by Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital. It's a safety initiative to provide bicycle helmets and bicycle safety lights to children who need them, who pedal around Middlesex County. It's a joint effort. We had 7 police departments participating in the program. They participate each year. And what they actually provide to the students and to the bicyclists, it's really a very interesting program, is a small ticket. But it's not a ticket like you would normally pay if you were paying a fine. It's a ticket if you're wearing your helmet and doing proper procedures that would give you a discount or a free slice of pizza or a soda in your local community. So it's kind of an incentive. It's a way of encouraging our youth to wear the proper safety equipment, use proper lighting. And then we're also able to provide them through grant dollars some additional helmets and lights that they'll be able to provide to those youngsters who can't afford or don't have the proper equipment. A very good program. I want to thank Metuchen for helping to coordinate that through our Community Transportation Safety Program and, of course, Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital. I read an interesting article the other day. I hope the board did. It's something I've been talking about for 3 years now, is naming rights, and it's never really gotten off the ground here in Middlesex County, unfortunately. I thought it was extremely exciting and interesting that Rutgers University took the initiative to go out and actually bid properly and put the right information together to go out and solicit a naming right contract for $6.5 million for the stadium. I believe the name is going to be High Point Technologies. They're going to receive $650,000 a year for 10 years with extensions, renewals, and additional dollars coming in. It just goes to emphasize, as some of us have been trying to do for some time now, that we need to think of new ways to generate revenue. And although it's been said that we attempted to do naming rights for our golf courses a year ago, the fact is that we didn't go through the right process. Rutgers utilized the right process by bringing in a consultant who specializes in naming right opportunities, IMG. I've actually contacted both them and their subsidiaries, and they're very interested in working with Middlesex County. So we're going to continue to pursue this, notwithstanding those who may feel that it doesn't have value. And we need to pursue the recreational opportunities that we have in Middlesex County, such as our golf courses, ice skating rinks, and other opportunities to see what type of revenue we might be able to generate through a similar type of initiative. Now, while I'm not naive enough to think that we have a $650,000 a year value in any one initiative, it would seem to me that any money that we can bring in is money that's found. That money can go to good use for things like the initiatives Freeholder Barrett's talking about, helping our senior citizens, doing good programs, and trying to help those who we're elected to help, which are those who are most need. So we're going to continue to pursue that and see what we can come up with, and I'll be making a presentation to the board on that in a couple of weeks. We also forged a wonderful partnership with Keep Middlesex Moving. I want to particularly thank the director, Bill Neary, who I think is just doing a wonderful job at KMM. He's working with the Comprehensive Traffic Safety Program Initiative. We developed a partnership to develop a new website, which will be a traffic and pedestrian safety-based website. It'll be the first of its kind in the state. It will connect all of the communities within the county, as well as the county initiatives, to provide one-stop shopping for pedestrian and traffic safety programs, initiatives, and any type of events that might be coming up that relate to traffic safety within the county. It will be something that will ultimately be promoted not only through the county but through the municipalities as well. The Traffic Safety Officers Association of the county are fully endorsing it, as well as the chiefs that we've been meeting with and speaking to. So this is going to be a great new initiative, and again, I want to thank KMM for their support of this initiative, both financially and also technically, to help get it off the ground. Last but not least, and just, I guess, a notification to the board, I'm going to request that we put a resolution on the subsequent freeholder meeting for discussion, and that would be to modify the new fee structure that we recently put in place, requiring mandatory fees for our passengers on our MCAT system. Since that announcement was made earlier this year, I've had an opportunity to speak to a lot of our riders. I think a number of our riders, particularly our veterans, are being particularly financially hurt by this new initiative. A lot of our veterans are doing transportation on a daily basis, some of them certainly 2 or 3 times a week, to Lions Hospital and some of the other veterans hospitals. And although it's a minimal amount to ask of them, when you're not making enough to begin with and then have to also go to the expense of additional medical treatments, some of these men and women are suffering from injuries that they received during the war. They are veterans, and I think that we need to extend ourselves. The financial impact will probably be about $5,000 or $6,000 total, and I believe that we'll be able to fund that through some savings that we've had and some staff changes and staff cuts that we've had in our department over the last couple of months. We are also providing some relief to other senior citizens who are on fixed incomes if they're eligible for the PAAD program, which is the Pharmaceutical Assistance Program at the state, which means that they fall under a certain income level. They're able to get a pass, a free pass, so to speak, on our bus system. If they don't meet that eligibility, then we do have a required fee. However, for our veterans who have served our nation, served our country, and really sacrificed in so many ways, shapes, and forms, I feel that we need to take an extra step, and we'll be proposing a resolution to modify our fee structure to make an exception for the veterans as we move forward, and providing, again, the funding to be able to do that. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Freeholder. Deputy Director Ron Rios.
Thank you, Director. On June 10th, the torch run for to benefit the Special Olympics of New Jersey was held. The event is held each year as a kickoff to the Special Olympics Summer Games. In total, 80 runners participated between our Middlesex County Sheriff's Office, our County Corrections, Prosecutor's Office, State Police, Cranberry Police Department, Monroe, Jamesburg, Helmetta, Spotswood, Milltown, and East Brunswick. And it was really, really nice to see how many people. I attended it. No, I did not run. But it was really, really nice to see how much involvement our law enforcement officers have in this, in no matter which department it is, and how they really push themselves to raise money, and they really raised a lot of money. Lieutenant Chris Nieder of the Sheriff's Office heads up the committee for our run and handles collecting the money raised by the runners. The team covered over 27 miles of the various towns in Middlesex County, and in September they will calculate all that they raised for this endeavor. And on Monday, July 27th, 2 sheriff's officers will be sworn in, and each candidate will be filling positions that are vacant due to retired sheriff's officers. As I stated earlier, I attended a meeting for the municipal coordinators of Office of Emergency Management, where Rory Zach was recognized for his many years of service, and that meeting was attended by so many people, and it's just a basic update of where the County Office of Emergency Management is on different updates for grant writing, grant funding, and how to coordinate different shelters and various other items in emergency management. I attended on Monday the swearing in of 4 police officers in the city of Perth Amboy, and they are bringing their ranks up. Again, as people retire, they try to keep replacing with new officers. Yesterday I attended the unveiling of the fallen officers monument in Perth Amboy, and it's the first police officer that was killed in the line of duty for Perth Amboy, Officer Thomas Rajai, who was killed nearly 3 years ago, and there were so many people there recognizing what had happened that fateful day, and hopefully there will never be another name added to that monument. It's an absolutely beautiful monument, but there were police departments from all over that were represented. Our county, also corrections officers were there, and many other officers from throughout the county. So it was nice to see the support for that. And that concludes my report, Director. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Freeholder Tamara?
Yes, thank you, Director. Under Planning and Engineering, at our last planning meeting, under the wastewater management plan, the Department of Planning is making excellent progress in their public outreach to all towns in the terms of providing technical support and review of the required ordinances that each town must address to be in compliance with the state and federal requirements. If one town does not follow through in this area, then the state could, by law, find the county's plan out of compliance and roll back the sewer service area lines to 2000. So our planning our department has done a great job on getting all the towns in compliant with that. We still have a few we're working on, but if they don't get it done, the county could be liable. The Rain Garden in Thompson Park will receive its educational sign by the end of this week. The sign was designed by the Department of Planning and describes what a rain garden is and how it works and how well as the plants that were used to increase the infiltration and beautification of the property. Appreciation is extended to the Department of Parks and Recreation. Without those who assisted and cooperation, the Rain Garden project would not have been realized. The Middlesex County Transportation Coordinating Committee endorsed the revised Route 9 transit linkage study, which recommends improvements to the overall transit mobility and Route 9 study area by expanding transit linkages between residential areas and mainline commuter routes. The report will be submitted to the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority by June 30th, 2011 deadline. The Department of Planning received and reviewed the fiscal year 2012 Project Development Work Program, which lists various stages of pre-transportation improvement programs and project development activities undertaken by NJDOT, NJTPA, and New Jersey Transit. Department recommendations to the New Jersey DOT on one of the projects include expanding the scope of proposed maintenance contract work on the Route 9 north of Bordentown Avenue intersection, including signage, striping, line markings, and better traffic signalization improvements. The Department of Planning also submitted a letter to NJDOT requesting that the Route 287 and Route 27 interchange improvement project in Metuchen and Edison be added onto the fiscal year 2012 PDWP as a means of advancing this project, which I want to thank our planning board and our engineering department working along with Metuchen and Edison to move this ramp forward, because it is desperately needed, and it's the number one ramp along 287 on their priority list. The preliminary design plans for the New Brunswick Bikeway have received from the consultant by the County Engineering and Planning Offices, the City of New Brunswick, Rutgers University, J&J, NJTPA, New Jersey DOT, and the State Historic Preservation Office. The next step is submission of the design package to the New Jersey DOT by July 1st. Bid plans are due in the Federal Highway Administration by August 1st, so that's moving along quite well, and hopefully within the next year we'll be seeing a bikeway pathway in the town of in the city of New Brunswick. As part of the New Jersey Transit purchase of 1,145 new buses to replace part of its aging bus fleet, the existing buses of the Middlesex County 800 local bus routes are expected to be replaced by 2013. These buses are expected to have a camera system with GPS and cellular modems, improved backup cameras and cellular lighting to enhance safety and security. The county is also working on 6 applications in various stages of farmland preservations, and these are all in the Planning Initiative Grant PIG applications. There's 2 farms in Cranberry totaling 205 acres. There are 3 farms in Monroe totaling 211 acres, and 1 farm in South Brunswick totaling 38 acres. On June 11th, 2011, the 8th Mobile Shredder event for 2011 was held at the Spotswood Municipal Building. At this event, the Mobile Shredder program has achieved the 1 million pound milestone. Since the inception of the program of June 13, 2005, 129 events have yielded 1,004,491 pounds of documents delivered by 16,348 county residents. Thank God for computers. The ninth Mobile Shred event for 2011 is scheduled for June 25th, 2011 at the East Brunswick Votech School. This past Saturday, I've been a volunteer for a food pantry in Edison for the last 12 years. I've given my talent, what little talent I have, my energy, my sweat, sometimes my tears, and this Saturday I gave my blood. We had a health fair, and it actually was the first time I've ever given blood. And the person who stuck me said, "Boy, you're flowing like the Mississippi." So it's pretty easy to do if you can do it. We not only exceeded our goal of 30 pints. We got 34 pints of blood. So I want to thank those people who came out to give. But I especially want to thank JFK Medical Center, who we partner with, but also Middlesex County Health Department, David Pappy, and the nurses who were there to provide their services that day. Over 400 of our clients came out. Keep Middlesex Moving, Bill Neary was there speaking to our clients about his services. Paul Buckley, who's in the audience today, he was there with Middlesex Community Housing speaking to our clients. Middlesex Workforce and Development, thank you, Jane Brady. She's in the audience too. And Steve Nagel from Infoline. We also had the North Jersey County Domestic Violence Team there, New Jersey Cares, Bell Drugs from Edison. We had the Edison Police Department, the Edison Police Auxiliary, and Edison Recreation. We had over 22 organizations and over 100 volunteers who helped, the clients who came there that day, and it's really great. All these organizations came down to help them. Starting this summer, and if you go by the Edison Tower, you'll see 131 feet of scaffolding surrounding the tower. The restoration has finally started, and thanks to the county and their county open space money who helped to achieve this goal. During the summer, the tower and the museum will be running programs for children ages 5 through 8 and 9 through 12. And during the programs, they'll learn about the restoration from the contractor, and of course, the man that the tower and the site was famous for is Thomas Alva Edison. We'll post this on the internet for those residents who are watching this. Please come by. You'll have an opportunity to see something really amazing that's going on that took many years to accomplish. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Blanquita Valente.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. I don't know how many people in this room or out in the public are familiar with Coming Home. Coming Home is a nonprofit organization that we have formed, and it has a mission to coordinate the implementation and evolution of our county 10-year plan to end homelessness. How are we doing this? By employing collaborative strategies, fostering public-private partnerships, and providing leadership that is necessary to ensure the efficient development of solutions to end homelessness in our county. We had a very successful breakfast meeting on June 23rd, yesterday, at the Edison Housing Authority, which was sponsored by Coming Home of Middlesex County, and its new executive director, Eileen O'Donnell, who has done a magnificent job in such a short period of time. Of course, the topic was ending homelessness and to encourage communication and collaboration among municipalities. I have to say that we had several mayors there, among them from the largest communities. Mayor Risigliano from Edison, Mayor McCormick from Woodbridge was there, Mayor Cahill from New Brunswick, and other municipal staff that represented their mayors. It was very encouraging, and hopefully there will be many more to come. But the launch presented the goals, and the goals are to create eventually 520 permanent, affordable, supportive, and accessible housing units by 2020. To launch a sophisticated single point of entry system, which we have used in the past for rapid response to homeless events and monitor client status, and coordinate real-time resources in a prevention and education process involving different areas of community life. And the last goal is to consistently evaluate and measure homelessness and which programs and strategies are effective in preventing and reducing homelessness. The breakdown of those first of all, those that we believe are homeless, there's at least 1,536 homeless men, women, and children that have been counted in our county. And Middlesex County has had a 48% increase in the number of homeless from the 2009-2010 year. And the breakdown is as follows. I believe there's 916 that responded to some of these forms. Family members that included children. We always think of homeless as the hobos under the railroad bridges, but it's really families in today's world that are homeless. And out of this survey, we counted 1,536 individuals. The actual number that are homeless over the course of the year may be between 2 to 4 times larger than the number counted at one point in time, which is what we used last year. And using the accepted formula, it is projected that over the course of a year, 5,718 adults and children are homeless in our county. And this is something that we cannot condone, that we have to continue working to make sure that people not only have a roof over their head or just in a shelter, but in a permanent housing situation, and that should be our first priority. So I was very happy that we could sponsor this yesterday, and that it was very well attended with people from various municipalities, especially our largest ones, because people think it's just the urban communities that have homeless, and that is not correct. Homeless are everywhere, even in the suburbs, believe it or not. So it's not just New Brunswick and Perth Amboy, but they're all over, and I was very happy to see both Mayor McCormick and Mayor Risigliano there from our 2 largest municipalities in Middlesex County. So it was quite an event, very well attended. We had some outstanding speakers, and I want to thank Tom Salheimer, the Executive Director of Human Services, and our newest person in our staff, Eileen O'Donnell, who's the Executive Director, for being on for such a short time. She has started out very well. Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Freeholder. Mr. Kelso, you're on. Resolutions to be amended?
There are none.
Resolutions to be added?
We have one resolution proposed for addition, and that would be to appoint Albert P. Kuchinkas as Department Head for the Department of Finance, Ralph G. Albanier as Department Head for the Department of Infrastructure Management, and Margaret Chester as Department Head for the Department of Community Services.
I need a motion to add that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Tamaro. A roll call.
Freeholder Barrett Palente.
Yes.
Freeholder Polos.
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rapano.
Yes.
And that would be Resolution 11-1124.
Okay. Resolutions to be held?
There are none.
Resolutions to be voided?
There are none.
At this point in time, I open the meeting up to the public on any agenda items, any resolutions listed on the agenda. Mr. Stewart?
Richard Stewart, New Brunswick. That resolution that was just added, what is the purpose of this? Is this some reorganization?
Yes, Mr. Stewart.
And, for instance, well, Al was handling finance. Ralph was handling the parks.
There was an actual consolidation, or proposed, actually it's proposed tonight. It's a resolution on the agenda tonight, proposed consolidation of many departments.
You have something showing that, how that's reorganized? Is the chart?
Yes.
The chart's been revised? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
On page 10, something that interests me, the personnel report. 1086. I keep seeing these references to the people coming back from service. When people leave for military service, do we function without them, or are they replaced? And if they are replaced, when the people come back, what happens to the people who are?
Actually, this is still we operate without them where appropriate, and then when they come back, obviously they're entitled to the job done.
Yeah. I have felt as I watch the public reports on, and now again they're talking about servicemen coming back from Afghanistan and from Iraq, and they're saying that there are going to be employment problems. They were talking about that today on the news. It's very understandable, because if you have people that are unemployed already, you know, and these people coming back needing jobs, and at the same time, other people are talking about wanting people to work longer, not retire. Well, if you don't have people retiring, that does not open up jobs for others that could move up or get into the jobs. They don't, sometimes I listen to these and I don't know whether the right hand knows what the left hand is doing in these situations. For those of us who came back after World War II, I think so many of them, some did not. My brother-in-law, for instance, went directly in to work as a carpenter, union carpenter, but he was fortunate enough. His father was involved as a union carpenter, and that was about the only way you could get into the carpenters union here in New Jersey at that time, if you didn't have a connection inside. But I, for instance, went to school, and so many went to school that took care of the immediate problem. But I don't know. I don't, unless, does anyone up there know how are we working in terms of the, do we have something that's equivalent to the GI Bill now?
I don't know. I don't know, Mr. Stewart.
I don't know either. But absent that, you know, we've got a real problem. You're bringing people back and dumping them out where there are really no jobs. Yes, I see permanent for wanted sign at Burger King, you know, McDonald's and so forth, but I don't think that the military training really prepares you for it.
Mr. Stewart, I see Jane Brady raising her hand. Maybe she can answer that for you.
There is a specific person known as the Veterans Employment Officer, and that person is responsible for working with any veteran that comes back, in our case, to Middlesex County, help them get a job or help them get training or whatever their needs might be. Now, yes, they do have to take advantage of that service, that's for sure, but that person, that is their sole function, is to work with veterans and help them to get employed.
And I'm hoping that they're really able to do something.
They're fine.
Yes. Dropping down to Resolution 1089 on that same page, we're waiving residency for a doctor, pathologist. Is that a limited waiver? Is that?
It's only on a per diem basis as we would require him, so he's not a permanent employee. That's why.
Oh, that's a different situation, yes. Dropping down all the way to 1092 on the same page. There's a transfer of funds there. I will check with the clerk maybe tomorrow and look at that resolution.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public on agenda items only?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Tamaro. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Have it. Does any freeholder have any resolution that they wish to remove from the consent agenda and vote on separately?
Freeholder Director?
Yes.
1019.
Okay.
That's it.
I have two, 1017, and whichever resolution is the personnel resolution.
The personnel resolution, the regular personnel resolution.
Yes.
1086? Yeah.
Personnel, is that the personnel report? Thank you, Dan.
All right, 1086.
Okay, anybody else? Mr. Kelso, we have to
Yes,
divert from our normal regular order of business to
Right,
deal with one resolution. Explain
Yes,
it.
Freeholder Director, I believe we should consider Resolution 11-1017, which was excluded by Freeholder Polis, before we consider the consent agenda, since the resolution that we added to the consent agenda is conditioned upon that resolution being adopted. So I think it would be appropriate to have that discussion first.
Okay. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Now, discussion on that resolution. I'd like to start with Freeholder Barrett Valente.
Thank you, Director. I'm happy to support this resolution. Most of you, I don't know if you know, but I started with the county in 1965. I think it was only John, right? Reiser and I were here. And times have really changed a lot. We've seen tremendous growth from 65 to 2011. And I think it's time for a change. I think we read in the newspaper about people saying government is getting too big. We have to reduce it. We have to reduce it. And this resolution is about reducing the size of government and to reduce the burden on our taxpayers with no difference, no change in services, none at all. Services will continue as they always have. No one is going to lose their job, be laid off, fired because of this. It will be done through attrition. It's going to take a long time. We've worked on it for 6 months. This document is a living document that will be changed periodically. We'll be looking at it again, still working on it for the next 6 months. And as always in the past, there have been changes to the administrative code. If not in the beginning of the year, periodically throughout the year. There will be tweaking, changes, items added, items changed. And these changes will come from department heads, freeholders, that see that it needs some sort of change. So it's going to be a process that's going to continue, but it is something that we're starting it, and I'm happy about it. I want to thank everyone who's worked on this. This has started been going on for 6 months. For all the department heads, the team leaders, especially to the prosecutor's office. They have worked so very hard. I see two of the gentlemen in here tonight, and I know how much time and effort they put in it, and I thank you. And the rest of the freeholders, thank you for all of your hard work. And I want to thank the freeholders for allowing everyone for the input to this document. Like I said, the department heads, personnel, and certainly for the freeholders, we were all given a chance to add information and give suggestions and state how we feel about it. And I thank you for that, because sometimes That doesn't always happen, but you didn't miss anyone. In fact, even the unions were called in and were explained what was going on. So thank you very much for that. And with that, I vote yes.
Freeholders?
Thank you, Director. We've all had input into the process. That's certainly the case, and I know that Freeholder Barrett, and I'm sure the other freeholders as well, they've publicly stated their support for the initiative. We'll continue to do so tonight, and that's fine. And I certainly think that that's all part of the process of democracy. We can have different opinions, and we can respect each other for having different opinions. Equally, I've been as consistent as everyone else has been. I've had questions and concerns about the way that we're reorganizing, the method, the process, the direction, not the fact that we're looking to save money and share services. And those of you who've known me for 29 years being in government, from being a small town mayor who received awards from the state for sharing and regionalizing and consolidating, right through to my role as in the county, consolidating two departments into one when we eliminated the Department of Highways a number of years ago, and to Dave Campion's credit, took over two complete operations, eliminating directors, staff, confidential aides, and so forth. So I'm all in favor of consolidation. I'm all in favor, and that was true consolidation. We actually saved $250,000 with the swipe of a pen by consolidating two departments into one. So I agree with consolidation. I think it's a great thing. I agree with looking at how we can save money, how we can reduce costs. I've been on the public record for 3 years talking about doing a zero-based budget. I'm sure all of you know what that is, but that's basically a true analysis of what we need to operate in the county, and looking at it from an actual baseline up, rather than saying we're here and let's just go up incrementally. Zero-based budget would really do a true analysis of what the needs are for each department. So I would say that we may all be on the same page about wanting to consolidate, save, share, and reduce costs. We may just disagree with respect to how we get to that end result. I too, and I certainly said this after the meeting of the day, but I want to say it publicly. I want to thank Chris Penna and Bob Merkler and Peg Chester and the prosecutor for their presentations the other day. And I know that they put a lot of time and effort in with their team to come up with what they felt was an answer to the task that they were assigned. So to all of you, my compliments. My issue isn't with what they presented or how they presented it, but moreover, the task itself. I guess you have to accept the premise of the argument if you're willing to accept the argument. So when I disagreed with the argument, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't because of what you presented, because I had a fundamental disagreement with the premise of why you were actually presenting it. When we look at reorganization, and again, and the administrator said it the other night, and likely will say it again this evening, or others may, we could disagree as to process and style with which we proceed. I have a much more open way of viewing how we need to operate. And it seems to me that a county which has, well, counties have been in existence since 1798 in New Jersey, but a county government that's been in operation this long under a certain form of government and a certain way of doing business, if the step is going to be made to reorganize, and we're all in agreement that looking at that is a good thing, it would seem to me that we should open up the process, bring in the best of the best, and sit down and do a real analysis, a thorough analysis of what needs to be done. And it starts from actually going into the departments and learning what they do, being a part of it, understanding the mechanics of it, understanding the day-to-day operational issues. It takes time. It also takes resources, and it takes professionals. And again, not to diminish the role of the staff that we used in-house to do this. It was acknowledged the other day that, as an example, in the reorganization of our Department of Public Safety and Public Health and Consumer Affairs and Weights and Measures, the group who was actually assembled by administration to make the decisions all come from the prosecutor's office, and don't really have, as the prosecutor acknowledged the other day, specific expertise in those areas. And that doesn't diminish their goal or their abilities, so please don't take that as a negative. It just indicates that there's a shortfall in the way we structured the group to look at the organization. It would seem to me that when you have a Department of Health, and I know that we have a very good Department of Health, they need to be at the table as part of the decision-making process and making the recommendations because they have expertise. And although they were involved in some of the discussions, they weren't part of the committee that formulated the final report. That to me seems flawed. It also seems flawed to me that we didn't reach out beyond the borders of our building to get others who could provide expertise and knowledge to the process. I've said for 3 years now that we don't tap into our university enough. And I was very pleased that Freeholder Tamaro agreed the other night and said that we should use Rutgers University to help evaluate our departments and how we reorganize, because it's an invaluable resource at our fingertips. And as I said the other night, there is a Department of Human Resources there that is not only state renowned, but nationally renowned as a department capable of looking at tables of organization and knowing human resources to the best abilities. So procedurally, we should have gotten them involved as well, to come in objectively, non-political, and with expertise in all areas of government to help us with what we're looking at doing. We could also reach out to the Division of Local Government Services, Department of Community Affairs, other experts at the state to bring them in to come help us evaluate what we need to do. Why is that important? Well, we had a recommendation not too long ago by the administrator to do some consolidation, or I should say some splitting within our health department. And when that occurred, all of a sudden we found ourselves faced with letters from the Attorney General's office and the State Department of Health chastising us that what we were doing broke every statute in New Jersey. I don't think that that's ever been resolved. I think that that's still open-ended. What we should have learned from that is that you have to go through a right process before you start making changes. You have to make sure that you have all of the information necessary to make an informed decision. You need to reach out to the experts to make sure that the plan that you're putting together can actually work. As an example, one of the proposals here is to create a division of inspections and merge all of our inspectors together. Now, while that sounds wonderful and may work at the end of the day, we don't know even if it's going to pass statutory muster, civil service muster, or union muster. But we're adopting it tonight, notwithstanding. That to me just seems a little bit premature in the process, and we need more time to do an evaluation to see if it really can happen the way that we're proposing it to do. When you look at the entire breadth and depth of what was analyzed, and again, I don't know what the charge was from the administrator or the administration who actually empowered the groups to make the decisions, but the other night I made, I think, a pretty good argument that when you have a prosecutor's department, which is a multi-million-dollar operation with hundreds of people, a sheriff's department that's the same type of an operation, juvenile corrections and adult corrections that are even larger in many respects, and the only recommendations that come forward to us is to microanalyze, dissect, and pick apart consumer affairs and weights and measures, which probably has 5 or 6 people. And the answer that I received the other night from the prosecutor, whom I have a lot of respect for, is, well, we've been consolidating and organizing for 9 years, so we really couldn't find too much. That to me says we just didn't look deep enough. It says to me that we kind of put all our attention into one specific little area, but we didn't want to touch the sheriff, we didn't want to touch juvenile corrections, we didn't want to touch prosecutor, and the comment was, well, maybe we'll look at that at some time in the future. If you're reorganizing, you reorganize everything. If you want to put on the table the fact that we can work together and cooperatively, you look at everything. And if that means delaying the implementation of the plan slightly, so what? Better to come out with a holistic plan rather than one that just focuses on one kind of minuscule area of operation in that whole continuum of operations. And, you know, what maybe underscores it, and I'm sorry that the prosecutor isn't here tonight because my comment will probably deserve a response at some point from him, but I asked the other day, why wouldn't we look at these departments to see if we can have any savings as well? We're saying we can save Division of Weights and Measures and Consumer Affairs by basically gutting the departments, and we can save with health by putting all the inspectors together with the other departments, but we can't save or consolidate anywhere else. And then the argument is made that, but we're already efficient. Well, I have to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. After that meeting, I accepted that, but then I went into our personnel discussions, and tonight it's public, so I can certainly share it. On the agenda is the hiring, and it's on the agenda tonight, which is why I've separated out the personnel item. The hiring of not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 brand new secretaries for the prosecutor's office tonight, to the tune of about $250,000 in salaries and benefits. 6 new secretarial positions on the same night that we're taking a position that the departments are efficient and there's no other better way to reorganize. I don't understand, with all candor, how we can hire a basketball team full of secretaries on the same night that we're saying the only area in 6 months that we could figure out where we could save was the Division of Weights and Measures and Consumer Affairs. And we're hiring another $100,000 investigator as well. So tonight we're going to spend $400,000 to hire new staff in a department and 6 secretaries. And you know, John and Chris, you know better than anybody. I don't even have a secretary in the Department of Highways to answer a phone because we're in this personnel cut shortage. Can't hire staff, can't add anybody, no overtime. We're supposedly in a budget crisis, but we can hire 6 new secretaries on the night that we're hatching a reorganization plan of efficiency. If that doesn't raise a question in anybody's mind, I'm not too sure why. It shows me that we just haven't put enough thought into it. I'm in favor of consolidation. I'm in favor of saving. I've proven it in my own departments time and time again. But let's not rush into this without making sure that we really have our ducks in a row. Now let's go to the document. Some questions for you, John, if I may. I asked you for a comparative of document proposed and the document that we currently have for the administrative code, correct? Is that correct? Right, John? Yeah.
Yes.
And then I got, I guess, from you, Tom, a list of specific changes and general changes? Is that right?
Yes.
So there's some things that don't seem to be on those. Let's go through them for a moment. Chapter 1, County Administrator. I don't believe that I see in your remarks. No, as in fact, I don't. Let me see. I see the change here, and I do note it in your comment. So we are adding in a new paragraph that's going to say that the county administrator now shall have direct supervision and jurisdiction over the individual departments that we're creating, including Office of Information Technology, Public Safety, and so forth. Is that right?
Correct.
So in the past, under the prior organizational chart, the county administrator did not have direct day-to-day or direct supervision without consultation with the Board of Freeholders. Is that right?
The purpose of the language is to make specific the organization of command consistent with the resolution that was adopted by the Freeholder Board when it first adopted the position of county administrator back in 1973 to add clarity to the language that's in the administrative code itself.
And why was it unclear all of these years since 1973? We've been working with it pretty well. We became the greatest county in the land. Why is it unclear?
Well, as you said, Freeholder, I think always it's an intent to make it better so that people can understand it better. And whenever, as we do annually, to make changes to be either consistent with changing law or to make changes that are recommended by department heads in order to clarify language that may be ambiguous or affected by statute.
All right. Well, if that was not put in specifically, who would have direct supervision and jurisdiction over the various departments? Would it not be the freeholders, as we've been doing for the 15 years that I've been on the board?
I believe the county administrator, by statute and by the resolution, has direct supervisory responsibility because the county administrator is answerable to the Board of Freeholders as a body.
Well, I read the statute, and the statute indicates that it's actually the board that indicates what the powers and duties, according to NJSA 48-942, it's the board that actually determines what the specific duties and responsibilities of the administrator are. They're not etched out specifically in the statute.
Correct, but they are specific in the resolution that created a position by this board in 1973.
Right, but in the 1973 documents and those that have been adopted in every year since then, up until tonight, that specific language was not included. Is that correct?
No, that's true. It's different. It's
Okay.
new language. Correct.
It changes the dynamic. Let's go to freeholder committees, if we can. Section 1.2 in the new document, Section 1.4 in the old document. And ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for having to go through all this tonight, but we received this document on Monday at 2 p.m. So it's the first time, candidly, and I said this on Monday, that I would have more questions on Thursday, that we've really had a time to sit down and have substantive conversation about the document.
Freeholder, that's not accurate.
It's the first time I received the document. It was Monday. That's not accurate?
No, it's not. It was emailed to you Friday. And understand this also.
Oh, Friday.
Monday's meeting, I specifically said to all the freeholders here, anybody have any questions about that resolution, about the changes to the administrative code, please call. Call John, call myself. I didn't receive one phone call from him.
I didn't call you, but I did email the administrator. I never got a response, so I'm asking it tonight.
That is,
I could show you the email, John.
I'd like to see it.
I'll be happy to provide that to you.
That is factual.
I don't get responses. It's okay, but that's all right. I'm not offended by that. So, let me ask this question about the freeholder committees. We're creating a new organizational chart that will now have 5 departments, super directors, or whatever we're calling them, correct? Versus our current organizational chart, right? Are we doing anything tonight that's now reassigning the freeholders to their responsibilities? Because I've noticed that there's now an indication in this new document that says that the board may by resolution designate all committees thereof, define their duties and determine the number of members of said committees, and may at any time abolish any committee created by it. Now, that wasn't in the prior document, so it sounds like we got a lot of latitude now to just change things. So are we assigned, because what I'm a little confused about is what is going to be, as an example, our individual responsibilities of committees? Because I'm not, right now I'm chairman of public properties, which I understand as of tonight doesn't exist. So should we not have a resolution on tonight that says your new assignments are?
No, I believe the way the resolution is structured it indicates quite clearly that the freeholder assignments remain intact as stated at the reorganization meeting in January, and any changes to that wouldn't take place until 2012. So from a freeholder assignment standpoint, nothing changes. And I think it's stated both in the resolution, if I'm not correct, Mr. Kelso?
Correct.
All right, but let me just ask.
So it's, again, it's stated in the resolution, freeholder.
No, that's fine. I understand, but there could be mistakes in the resolution too. Let me just ask just a structural question. Mr. Kelso, if I can ask you, because perhaps you can shed some light on this. Is there a reason why we wouldn't create a new organizational chart to assign freeholders to what their responsibilities are going to be if we're creating a new organizational chart tonight? I guess the question I have is why would we be disjointed and have, I'll just use myself as an example, chairperson of transportation and public properties, which is now being split tonight, ladies and gentlemen, into 2 separate divisions and departments, reporting to 2 different freeholders. So the question I guess I have is who's reporting to whom?
I wouldn't characterize it that way, freeholder, because as it stands today, I think you're creating the impression that each freeholder is responsible for a specific department.
That's true. That's exactly what we are
But you actually have
for.
multiple departments or divisions under certain circumstances which change on an annual basis. The recharacterization of the 5 departments now includes what previously had been multiple departments, which we've renamed offices. As it stands today, if this code is adopted, you still will have oversight responsibilities for the same, what were previously called departments, which now may be offices or divisions, as you had prior to the adoption of this code. And as you've done annually each year, the freeholders make a determination as to which offices or departments previously identified that they will have oversight responsibilities for. They may cross over from department to department.
Okay, well, let me ask this question, and maybe this will go to the director. There's 5 areas. Then there's, I guess, administration, which would be the administrator. And then there is the director. So would that make 7? Let me ask this question. Is there any envision on the part of the board to have the 7 freeholders assigned to different areas? What are the 7 areas going to be?
Freeholder, I'm surprised that you're asking these questions.
Oh, okay.
Because
That's good.
we've discussed this back in December when you agreed to the reorganization.
Excuse me?
Yeah. We had this very same discussion.
I agreed that we could look at reorganization. Absolutely, but we didn't commit in December what we were going to have. We gave these poor gentlemen and ladies 6 months to come up with the plan. All we did in December, and I might add, I'm glad you brought up December, but that's a little bit off the subject. It was actually in December I pulled out your budget, your director's message. You indicated that this was going to save us over $2 million in 2011. We'll get to that in a second. I'd like to know where that is. But going back to the question.
Are you denying the fact that in December at a meeting you were given a copy of the reorganization paper?
And I asked the same question.
And you said,
told me
I
you were
support it.
You told me, quote, and I'll quote exactly what you said. You said that we're going to be working on that over the 6 months. So fine. So I'm asking you simply at this point, I'm not being confrontational. It's a simple question. We're elected freeholders. You have now taken our departments and separated them into new areas of organization. And you're saying that that's fine, but we're not going to assign you to those areas of new reorganization until January 2012. So it's a simple question. What is so difficult for us to understand who we're going to be working with directly? Am I going to be in charge of infrastructure, or is Freeholder Barrett? Is someone going to be in charge of public safety? Who are those departments supposed to report to? Let me give you an example. I just don't understand why we can't seem to see this. Use mine as an example. I now have transportation under a different division and public properties under a different division, who are reporting to two different super directors who, under our current organizational chart, report to 2 different freeholders. So who is reporting to whom? Just answer. It's a simple question.
Why don't you just finish your comments, Freeholder?
Well, does anybody have an answer for it?
I'll have an answer for it.
Well, could you share it with us?
After you're done with your comments.
Well, it actually is the premise for the rest of my questions. Can we have an organizational chart to determine which freeholders are responsible for what areas? I just don't understand how we can operate in a vacuum without having a true structure as elected officials for what we're supposed to be responsible for. I guess you don't have an answer, and that's okay. Let's go to the next question. Department heads. Mr. Kelso? This wasn't indicated that this was taken out in we added in, I guess, new language. Each department or county government is set forth that shall be overseen by a department who shall be qualified by education, training, experience for the duties of his or her office. Correct? Is that new language that was added in?
Yes.
Did we put that in for the county administrator too? Because I went to Monmouth County and I found it very interesting and actually insightful that for county administrator, there's 3 pages of what the responsibilities are, the appointment and term, the qualifications, the general powers, duties, and what I found extremely interesting and lacking in our document, so I'm going to suggest that we at least add this language in, is that in each section it indicates that the administrator shall report to the board and may exercise the following powers, whichever may be indicated, under the direction and supervision of the board. That seems to be lacking specifically in a lot of the paragraphs that we have.
By statute, that's the responsibility of the administrator. Under our form of government, as you well know, Freeholder, the administrator doesn't take any action that isn't ultimately, in one form or another, approved or authorized by the board, either by resolution or by ordinance.
Well, why does Monmouth County have it in there specifically?
I didn't
Tom?
write Monmouth County's administrative code. Frankly, it's not a factor here. When you ask the question as to language that was added for qualifications of department heads, all that does is merely codifies what actually in practice has always occurred. Whenever a department head was ultimately chosen by this board, I'm assuming that you've looked at overall their qualifications and experience and expertise. You certainly didn't make a department head from someone that didn't have any ability to handle the duties. We merely codified by language to make clear that that's an exercise in good government. The administrator's duties and responsibilities are not only set forth in the statute, but as you know, since you indicated you've read it, in a very general way. However, in the creation of that position by this Freeholder Board, very specific duties were enumerated. Those duties are merely now set forth language-wise in the administrative code to clarify what they are. There's been no change. There's no change in the administrator's powers or responsibilities. It merely is easier now to understand when you see it as in its current form in the code.
Okay, well, I just got to say that the answer that I guess I'll give, and then I'll move on to my next question, is we can't have it both ways. We can't sit here and espouse to the fact that we're in a new world, as the Freeholder Barrett indicated, and the board has, that times have changed, we need to look at things differently. But when it comes to the administration, we can still kind of have this archaic language in here the way it is. It seems to me we should redo the administration portion, spend the time to put together the right document, and make sure that we've etched out specifically the duties and responsibilities. Let me give you an example of another concern that I have. If we go to section 2-18, there was an elimination of language in here, Tom, that I didn't note that was not highlighted under the review of new programs. To this end, any major report prepared by an independent consultant and any major proposal by a department head shall be delivered to each member of the board at least 3 days prior at any presentation. That was eliminated, was it not, from the...
I have to look real.
You took out the language, any major report prepared by an independent consultant and any major proposal, and then you kind of continued from there. Was that intentional or by accident?
I don't have section 218 here in front of me. You're talking about the existing code.
Review of new programs.
Right, the existing code.
Well, while you look for that, let me ask you a question, Freeholder Director, if I may. Time limit for initial requests. Again, this kind of goes to the heart of the concern that I have about the way that we're setting up this new form of government under the administrator. Time limit for initial requests, the last sentence of that paragraph indicates, under our current resolution and administrative code, if you're seeking approval for a request to get onto an agenda, an item onto an agenda, if such approval, according to the time frames, is not obtained, then the deadline may be waived at any agenda. I'm sorry, wait a minute, let me read this again. Hold on. Oh, yes, the deadline may be waived with the unanimous approval of the Freeholder Committee Chairperson and the Freeholder Director, which implicitly makes a lot of sense to me. If somebody has trouble getting a quick resolution on, the Director or the Chairperson of that committee can consult and agree to have it added on. Now, the problem, and maybe the reason that's been taken out, is because we haven't decided who's going to chair what committee, so maybe these are tied together. But in the new resolution, you indicate that we're no longer able to decide that. The county administrator decides that. Correct?
I gave you my answer before, Freeholder. I'll address your questions and concerns after you're done with your comments. I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth with you on issues that you easily could have addressed during the course of the week, as was suggested to you.
I sent an email to the administrator. I can't help it if he didn't respond, Freeholder Director. It's a simple question. Is that responsibility now been given to the county administrator?
Freeholder Director?
Yeah.
Is that a yes or a no?
I've given you I told you what we're going to do, Freeholder. We're not going to sit here, or at least I'm not going to answer questions for you. We had ample opportunity to ask those questions like I suggested. To some extent, I think you're trying to you're on stage here, even in front of the camera or in front of the audience.
No, I'm not on stage. I am not on stage, Freeholder Director, at all. I'm concerned about the way that we've developed this code. I am concerned about the way that we have neutralized the role of the County Board of Freeholders. We are proceeding with a copy of a reorganization plan that the board has fully acknowledged tonight does not include assignment of freeholders to the new departments that are being created. The line of succession and reporting will be unclear and blurred, which may be intentional. We are providing the county administrator new unfettered responsibilities that I believe will not be in check with the daily operation of the Freeholder Board because the organizational structure does not allow for that. That's not the way that this board has operated for many, many years. If you take a moment and you look back onto that wall at all the successful Freeholder boards that have existed up until today, every single board, every director ran a wonderful ship. We proudly put on our wall outside that Middlesex County is the greatest county in the land. We became that without changing the structure of the way that we operate as a government. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't look for efficiencies, reorganize, and be able to look where we can save money and become more efficient. But you don't have to do that by taking away the authority of the elected officials. I actually believe that that's our responsibility, to be involved on a day-to-day basis with our departments, to be part of that decision-making process, to have the ability to be able to approve and disapprove on a day-to-day basis of what goes on within our departments. Now, the Freeholders may disagree with me, and that's okay. But that's why I believe we were elected to office. That's what our role and responsibility is supposed to be. This new code puts us into a new direction, changes that dynamic substantially, waters down the responsibility of the freeholders, empowers the county administrator with more authority and autonomy, and I just don't think that that's in the best interest of Middlesex County. In addition, I think that we should have delayed slightly the implementation of this until we had more opportunity to review it, discuss it, and bring in others who could give us more information and better input and insight as to how we could develop it better. I know it will be approved tonight in the vast majority. However, I think that we owe it to ourselves to delay this tonight. That's what I'm asking the board to do. Continue with the planning for the reorganization, but delay the implementation of this until we have more time to discuss it.
May I ask just one question? Freeholder Polis, just for purpose of clarification, you asked me a question with regard to Section 2:18?
Yes.
There is no Section 2:18 in the existing code.
In what?
In the existing code.
Hold on. Which section are you talking about that I asked you a question about, Tom?
I don't know. It doesn't exist.
No, I'm saying what was the
218, so I'm trying to refer to it.
Oh, it's 2.7. I'm sorry. In 2.7, that's the one where the independent consultant was taken out. Is that the question that you had? Two sections.
I was trying to find.
2.7.
Yeah, you get okay.
Not 2.18. Thank you, Director.
Deputy Director Ron Rios.
Thank you, Director. I wholeheartedly support Resolution 11-1017. For too long, some elected officials in all levels of government, whether it be municipal, county, state, or federal, said, wait to make bold decisions and change policies. Quite frankly, that's why we have the problems that we're reading about in the newspapers today, in Washington and in Trenton. We need to be aggressive, innovative, and do things that will lead this great county of ours into the future in the absolute right direction. If we wait, we delay the process of creating a government that's more cost-effective and efficient. These changes will avoid layoffs and make our workforce be well-rounded. We have a vast amount of talent in all our employees, and I'm proud to say that. And we will utilize that talent a lot better. This will streamline our government, eliminate redundancy. It will align our workforce and departments in their proper places. I don't support the status quo. And I ask my colleagues to support this resolution. And yes, all departments were involved in the process. I will tell you that. I just think it's inappropriate to make comments, innuendos. It seems like it's a personality conflict or a witch hunt against our administrator. And I find that totally inappropriate. I want to thank all the people that were involved in this process. It's been a long process, very long process. Freeholder Polo says that he's worried about the freeholders getting involved and being involved in their departments, but never a phone call in this whole process. Never got involved in this department, this whole department of building a better county government to make our county run more efficiently. No, we don't want to hurt any of our employees because we have a lot of staff that are well talented, they are dedicated, and again, they have been involved in this process for a long time. John Polomina, Director Rafano, Al Kachinkis, and all the department heads have been involved in this. We've had numerous conversations, numerous phone calls on how to try to tweak this as best as we see it, how to try to make things better. People, the taxpayers, are not happy with the status quo. That's what we're elected to do, to make the proper changes and take the bold decisions and make the decisions for ourselves. I don't think we need to go out to Rutgers and get their input. I think they have enough of problems themselves, and I think we have the talent. And again, that's why we are elected to make those decisions. And I believe that. And again, I ask my freeholder colleagues to support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Freeholder Tamaro?
Thank you, Director. I wasn't here in December when the resolution was voted on to start the process. But now I'm here to vote on it. And I first want to commend Mr. Kaplan and his committee. When Peggy and her committee, we did have the brightest on this, on these committees. You know, looking at each department and working on ways to consolidate. What has Trenton been saying for years? What has the state been saying for years? You know, working with less and doing more. And that's what's going to end up happening once you consolidate these departments and working smarter. You know, the government, and the taxpayers are telling us to work smarter, and that's what we do in private. You know, I work with less salespeople now. I do more of their job because they're not with us anymore. And that's what's going to, that's what's begging of you because of this economy. And I will be supporting this. I think they've done a great job. I think we'll be looking at it and making changes in the future if they need to be changed. But, it's time to move forward and get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Valente?
Thank you, Freeholder Director. I've been listening very carefully to all the comments. However, my mind is made up. I believe that we have to support this. I think that, as Mr. Tamaro just said, maybe when we come to a certain point, we may have to tweak or slightly alter some of these things to make sure that they're going to be working 100%. But I certainly have a tremendous amount of confidence in the team that put this together. I've worked with both Don Salheimer and Beck Chester. Now, this is my 7th year, and I have very strong confidence in them and in our business administrator making sure this goes forward. So therefore, I will cast an affirmative vote.
Thank you, Freeholder. I have a statement that I'd like to read, but before I do, I feel compelled to respond to some of the statements that were made by Freeholder Polis and accurately reflect for the public the facts and the truth. First of all, this process started more than 6 months ago. It started before that when myself and Deputy Rios instructed the county administrator to look deeply at every department, to delve into it and see what can be done to make it run better, what cuts can be made, what consolidation, and to come together with a reorganization plan. Quite frankly, having 28 department heads, I think is too much. And we're going to reduce it to having 5. But that being said, in December 2010, there was a meeting. This organization was discussed, was distributed to all the freeholders. And we left that meeting, all 7 of us, including Freeholder Polis, agreeing to that reorganization. At that point in time, I believe, beginning of January, that's what it was. Beginning of January, we created a transition team, and they were charged with coming back to us with recommendations. And they've done that. I just find it very disingenuous at this point in time, on the eve that we're about to adopt this, to now have an issue, or an issue with the Administrative Code Amendment. You know, the fact of the matter is, during that 6-month time period, when the transition team was working hours and hours and days and weeks at coming up with recommendations, Freeholder Polis did not engage them at all. In fact, he asked for transition meeting dates, didn't attend one. And then when I asked him on Monday, I said, if you have any questions, please call me. Never got a phone call. So to now say that we should include Rutgers, where was Freeholder Polis during that 6 months? You can't, on the eve of something happening, of being accepted or voted on, now come up with another idea. Did the same thing when it came to the budget. On the eve of the adoption of the budget, other new ideas, and without having cut one penny after he was asked to cut additional money in his own budget. Okay, so there is a process that was put in place. I think the process worked. The process asked for involvement from freeholders. Some chose to, some chose not to. But to sit here and then criticize the process because we didn't include Rutgers, and I agree with Freeholder Tamaro's comment about, I think they have their own issues. Quite frankly, maybe they should be asking for Middlesex County to go in and help Rutgers. But it's very, like I said before, very disingenuous. Now let me straighten out a couple things that are not true. We are not taking any authority away from the elected freeholders. This freeholder board runs Middlesex County. Our county administrator runs our day-to-day operations. And he reports to us, period. There is no change in form of government. To say otherwise is not true. So don't believe it. He made a comment about the issue in the health department. It's probably still going on. Well, if you checked, it's been resolved. He mentioned about the state, the Department of Community Affairs. They've already approved our organization plan. If you asked the question, that would have been the answer. To make reference only to weights and measures as the department that we looked at and cut from and implying that we've ignored everybody else, again, that's not true. And the reason adult corrections and youth detention was not addressed was because last year we combined those two departments, generated a savings of $991,000, reduced positions. We had 22 positions between the two in the administrative part of it. Now we have 6. So we're certainly doing our job, and that's the reason they were not included in the recommendations. Now, and I can say this: the prosecutor has been very, very helpful during the course of the years with his budget. Certainly, to imply that we left him alone because it was the prosecutor's office it's just not right. It's wrong, absolutely wrong. The mention about using the expertise of consultants or the private sector, we do. We hired a consultant to address the issues in Mountain Bay mental health, and they're going to prepare a report and get back to us about where we can have savings over there. We even hired a consultant to develop an economic strategy for Middlesex County because we felt it was beyond what we were able to do. So we do look to the private sector. We do, when necessary, look to consultants. But the majority of this board felt as though the people that we had here on staff who have, I can't even begin to tell you how many years and years and years of expertise in various areas and in government, which is important, worked on this plan. And this is the end result of that. Now, let me finish by saying this before I read my statement. Being difficult for the sake of being difficult is not leadership. What the taxpayers deserve is leadership. Now, my statement. I am proud to announce that tonight, with the approval of a resolution to amend the Middlesex County Administrative Code, this Board of Chosen Freeholders will begin the systematic process to reorganize, downsize, and reduce the cost of running county government to better serve our residents. The status quo for doing county business is no longer acceptable. We have to adapt to the sobering realities of today. 10 months ago, I, along with Deputy Director Rios, directed the administrator to evaluate every aspect of our existing operations. In December 2010, we presented a proposed reorganization plan that would allow us to significantly enhance operational efficiencies while reducing the size of county government. This proposal was unanimously endorsed by the Board of Freeholders. Thereafter, a transition team was established and charged with the responsibility to identify specific operational efficiencies. Tonight, the adoption of the new administrative code will put the organizational structure in place to reduce the number of departments from 28 to 5. That will significantly reduce the size of county government. The process of consolidating departments and eliminating work redundancies will begin July 1st. This restructuring will result in at least $1 million in savings for the remainder of 2011, and the potential to save millions more in 2012 and beyond. We will take advantage of new technology to automate manual functions. We will cross-train our workforce to be more efficient. These efforts will allow us to downsize county government effectively through attrition. On Monday, the transition team presented to the board recommendations in support of the same organization structure that was unanimously supported by the Board of Freeholders 6 months earlier. This team consisted of key leaders on our staff who identified recommendations in support of the proposed structure. I want to personally thank the members of this team. I also want to thank all the directors, division heads, and staff who work closely with this transition team leaders. These individuals represent the incredible talent, experience, and expertise this county has to offer, and each took up the task given to them with the utmost professionalism and dedication. Formed in January at the direction of the Freeholder Board, the transition team analyzed every aspect of our day-to-day operation. They worked closely with the county staff and reviewed our programs and services to assess what was working and what could work better. The purpose of tonight's resolution is to adopt an amended administrative code so we can move forward on the transition team's recommendations based on the reduction of 28 departments to 5. These 5 departments are Department of Finance, Department of Infrastructure Management, Department of Community Services, Department of Public Health and Safety, Department of Business Development and Education. The structure I present to you tonight allows us to immediately take advantage of key recommendations provided to us by the transition team. They are the following: centralized administrative functions such as managing grants, human resources, technology needs, and purchasing. This will allow us to consolidate administrative functions and, in the process, reduce the size of county government. Establish the Office of Emergency Management, Communications, and Preparedness that will integrate disaster planning, hazmat, and the fire marshal into one office. Establish the Office of Inspections, which will allow us to more effectively manage all inspections, including environmental health, public health, solid waste, and weights and measures. Potentially eliminate central warehouse distribution and work directly with vendors. Align all financial and fiduciary responsibilities for the county under the Chief Financial Officer. Develop a robust economic development strategy that supports the county and all 25 municipalities and is developed in conjunction with Middlesex County College and the vocational technical schools. And last, centralize all vehicle maintenance. What we propose tonight is the beginning of a journey that will allow us to continue to improve county government while at the same time remain sensitive to our employees and responsive to our taxpayers. This restructuring, as I said before, will result in immediate savings of $1 million and more than $2 million in 2012 and beyond. Now is the time to institute a new streamlined organization. Now is the time to work together to drive down the cost of county government. Now is the time to realize that status quo is no longer good enough. We do all of this to ensure that Middlesex County remains the greatest county in the land. Thank you. I call for a vote.
Director, not to be difficult, but the one question you said you were going to ask at the end was originally...
I call for a vote, Freeholder.
Well, you said you were going to ask... I had one question regarding the savings. I understand that there's 4 new positions being created here, including the Law and Public Safety Chairperson, Chief of Staff, and additional staff people. I'm just curious where the $2 million savings is. Just if you could share that with you. I've been asking you that for weeks.
You haven't been asking me for weeks.
Come on. Come on, Chris.
Called for the vote.
Let me answer the Freeholders' question. Under the reorganized proposal, the positions that have been identified are positions that would come, number one, from in-house. They are not new positions, so it would not cost a single penny of funding. Number two, in regards to the prosecutors' additional hires, the prosecutor's department is currently 13 positions under budget, and these positions were approved by the Board of Freeholders, so these are not new positions, but part of the overall structure that the prosecutor actually had presented to this board, and to my knowledge, the entire board supported. But let me reiterate, when you look at the proposed organization chart, the positions and new titles that are given are based on either in-house with a zero-sum game when it comes to cost to Middlesex County. It's a realignment of the workforce to more effectively provide service, and the ultimate goal is at a lower cost to the taxpayers of Middlesex County, and that's the bottom line.
I'm sorry, John, the other day you indicated that we were going to create 2 new positions, the Office of Emergency Management Communications, and then you also said in senior services, did you not?
Again, Freeholder...
maybe I misunderstood you. If I did, I apologize.
Once again, you misunderstood, yes.
Well, could you clarify it for me, please?
I'll say it again, not only for the Office of Emergency Management, but the entire... There are clearly new positions that are being identified. At the same time, as people leave the payroll, positions will no longer be filled. It's really a realignment of responsibilities so that people are put in positions that more effectively serve the residents of Middlesex County without a single penny in increased cost.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Call for a vote.
Freeholder Barrett-Valente?
Yes.
Freeholder Polos?
I favor reorganization. I do not favor a structure where the freeholders have not been given assignments. I'm going to finish my statement, Director.
You're not allowed to do that.
And the administrator has been given different powers and authority.
Point of order.
And for that reason, I vote no.
Freeholder Rios?
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro?
Yes.
Freeholder Valente?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano?
Yes. Okay, we can move on to the consent agenda, right?
Yes. At this time, Freeholder Director, a motion would be in order to adopt a consent agenda consisting of resolution numbers 11-1017 through 11-1124, including resolution 11-972, which was previously held, and excluding resolutions 11-1035 and 11-1017, previously voted upon, and further excluding resolutions 11-1019 and 11-1086 to be voted upon separately.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett-Valente?
Yes.
Freeholder Polos?
Yes.
Freeholder Rios?
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro?
Yes.
Freeholder Valente?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano?
Yes.
Now, Director, it would be appropriate to consider the resolution excluded by Freeholder Tamaro, and that's 11-1019.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett-Valente?
Yes.
Freeholder Polos?
Yes.
Freeholder Rios?
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro?
Present but not voting.
Freeholder Valenti,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes.
And finally, Director, to consider Resolution 11-1086, excluded by Freeholder Polis.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rios, seconded by Freeholder Valente. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett Valenti,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
Can I vote on no on a portion of that, or am I allowed, do I have to vote no on the entire resolution, Mr. Attorney?
Well, point of order, we normally would do it by resolution, unless we would know that ahead of time. I think if you want to just do specifics, I don't see any reason why we can't do that. I'll just have to recraft the resolution.
Do the new department head positions, are they also included in this personnel
They were all,
resolution?
you
They were
just
done
voted them
separately,
on
right?
the consent agenda,
Good.
yes.
Okay, fine. Then I vote no on 1086.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro,
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rafano.
Yes. Okay, now it's time to open up the meeting to the public on any item.
Two different people.
Oh,
Mr.
Sure.
Stewart has his hand up, too.
yes. Yep. Indicate your name and address.
How long do I have to talk?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Fine. My name is Jerry Pyenson. I live in Hackensack, New Jersey, 407 Passaic Street. And normally I speak extemporaneously, but I've written the remarks because I consider this extremely important. I'm speaking to a great crisis facing our nation. We have, as a nation, arrived at a rendezvous with destiny. Either we will return to the Franklin Delano Roosevelt approach of putting credit into physical production, manufacturing, and infrastructural development, or we shall continue to collapse in a physical breakdown of the U.S. economy with concomitant layoffs, bone-crushing austerity, and forced lowering of living standards of our people. When Dominique Strauss-Kahn, the banker, was arrested, it signaled the end of the bailout economy. Already over the last 2.5 years, between 17 and $24 trillion has been guaranteed in exchange for toxic paper to the City of London and Wall Street financial firms. Glass-Steagall, which was the law that FDR used against the speculators starting in 1933, was the policy of separating commercial from investment, otherwise known as gambling banking, and it assured credit to production. House of Representatives Bill 1489 is now before the House of Representatives. It is sponsored by Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, who's a Democrat from Ohio, with about 20 Democratic and Republican co-sponsors. Recently, the city of Elizabeth, Irvington, and Newton in New Jersey have passed resolutions calling for the New Jersey congressional delegation to co-sponsor this resolution. And I have them here. If I could give them to the clerk to pass out to the members of the Freeholders, Board of Freeholders. Also, last Tuesday, the New Jersey AFL-CIO unanimously called for the New Jersey congressional delegation to pass H.R. 1489. I represent the LaRouche Political Action Committee, and I fully speak to and support that AFL-CIO resolution that you now have in front of you on their letterhead. Recently, the Rochester, New York, and Louisville, Kentucky AFL-CIOs have acted similarly. With the looming bankruptcy of virtually all 50 states by July 1st, the reenactment of Glass-Steagall becomes a life and death question for our nation and for everyone sitting here and for the as yet unborn generations. Around July 10th, we will see this as a reality, since they have 10 days to reconcile their books. As I said at the Garfield City Council 2 days ago, we cannot afford failure. The United States is not a nation of failure. Failure is not an option. Therefore, I'm urging the Middlesex County Board of Freeholders to pass an emergency resolution calling on the New Jersey House of Representatives delegation to co-sponsor House Resolution 1489, and that the New Jersey senators in the U.S. Senate to present a similar bill. The current weight of trillions of dollars in gambling debts foisted on the U.S. taxpayer in the 2008 to 2011 bailout of Wall Street and the City of London is currently obliterating and destroying the economy of the United States and its people. We must change courses immediately. So I passed out to you those resolutions from the New Jersey AFL-CIO, from the City of Elizabeth, from Newton, from Irvington. And if you have any questions, I'm certainly available to answer those questions. But this is a life and death question for, as I said, not just people who are here in this room, but for the as yet unborn generations. We either return and do what Franklin Roosevelt did, or those yet unborn will curse us for failure.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the public? Mr. Stewart?
Richard Stewart. I'm glad that Mr. Polis brought to my attention, I had skipped over it, these positions in the prosecutor's office. Now, in the past, at one point, they were saying no more hires, just, if anything, replacements. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions at $30,000 apiece.
They're replacements.
What happened to the people that were there?
We had some people retire. We had one of them passed away. One of them actually resigned. And this has been an ongoing thing. Those jobs were actually posted within the county for somebody to maybe make a lateral move over to that department, but nobody was wanting to go over to the prosecutor's office, evidently. So from the postings, these hires were from the outside. I believe maybe 1 or 2 had been an intern that was made permanent. As far as the investigator, that was an employee of ours currently working at the adult corrections facility who made a lateral move over to the prosecutor's office.
Thank you. Let me turn to this other matter of the department heads. I'm wondering, where does this produce a savings? Just shuffling names on an organization chart doesn't eliminate any salaries. Are we going to reduce all these department heads?
Through attrition.
That will be done.
Right.
Significantly.
Yes.
Because otherwise, all that you would be creating is some super chiefs at even a higher salary, which I'm sure the controller wouldn't object to, but but in other words, these super chiefs are not going to be getting raises.
That's the plan right now.
Okay. I just didn't want that to slip by. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Any
Motion
mo-
to close.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Director Rio, seconded by Phil Tamaro. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Deputy Director Rio, seconded by Phil Tamaro. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.